And we are live, episode 246, Better on Draft podcast. Thank you all for coming back and joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed the probably last show we'll ever do inside a brewery, as we are stuck in confines of these Zoom meetings. I appreciate you again. It is November 20th. I have got 3 beers myself. I have got a Shorts Bel Air Brown, a Shorts Bel Air Brown, and a Shorts Bel Air Brown. The reason for that is that I wanted to make sure to drink something good out of this nice glass boot as I bring in our guest today, Joe Short from Shorts Brewing. How you doing today?
Awesome. Thank you.
I appreciate you joining us, and I'm going to ask the first question. Um, I've always wanted to know because you guys have, I'm pretty sure the exact number is 8 million different beers that you put into distribution. How do you decide if a beer that is pub only goes into distribution?
Oh man, that's a popular and very good question. Um, so yeah, we use the pub as sort of our barometer, and interestingly enough, now with restricted um, pub batch, I guess display, we kind of go with what we know. But when we really want to try something brand new, we'll kick it off at the pub first. We'll see how it goes. If it goes well, it might make it into a specialty drop um, in the following year or years. And then if it does really well as a specialty drop, it could be considered as a seasonal or a variety pack beer or something like that.
Is there a beer that did really, really well in the pub that the second you did a specialty drop, it was just like nobody really cared too much for it?
Yes. Trying to figure out, remember what that beer was. It was the like the mint IPA that we did.
That's
It's hard to
interesting.
remember 8 million.
Yeah, I know, I know, I
Um,
know. Putting you on the
well,
spot here.
Well, when things are hot, they're hot, and then it's like, oh yeah, we don't like those anymore. Thanks for trying. Um, so there's a little bit of that, but fortunately, we have a good success rate for what we decide to throw out there.
Well, that's good. I'm gonna bring in one of my co-hosts, Dan. Dan, how you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good.
What are you drinking over there?
One of Rob's favorites, Underground Mountain Brown from Founders. Sorry, Rob. It was there. It looked good.
I know
Anyway,
you're not sorry, but go on, Dan.
anyway, Joe. So I'm kind of curious because I read that article you put out about how your employees are being treated by people coming into the pub, that sort of thing. I know you're in that part of northern Michigan. I'm pretty familiar with it. My family lives up there. Nobody takes this damn thing seriously. So, in light of this new lockdown, I'm just kind of curious. Can you give us a rundown? What have you guys done to stay profitable or stay open and not succumb to this? Because I know where I'm at here, we've had a lot of breweries shut down, unfortunately, because of all this and all the restrictions and all people just not wanting to do anything. So, what have you guys done to keep yourselves afloat going through all of this?
First and foremost, we have I think one of the most awesomest teams that a pub could ever hope to have. So we have very resilient, very flexible, very creative staff who are used to rolling with the punches, who are used to dealing with a bunch of crazy stuff. Uh, this time round two, now that we're shut down, is stuff that we don't have control over. Um, so we've been innovative. Fortunately, throughout our tenure with the pub, the food program has been very successful, and we've got a considerable amount of space over there. So we were able to kind of reformat the space to really kind of capitalize on food sales for sure. And then hopefully, not hopefully, but we did obviously anticipate some reduced, I guess, beer sales in house on premise naturally, but we seem to be making up those sales on the production front and in the retail sector. So thanks everybody for heading out to the retail sectors and supporting us that way. And then, uh, you know, in abundance of caution, we're doing everything very rigid, very effective standards in sanitation and making sure that the staff is healthy and safe. And it's those standards that we also hold our customers to. And that's where sometimes you get into issues when, those standards become viewed a little differently. But at the end of the day, safety is the primary concern, because if we don't have healthy workers, then we can't operate. So job number one, keep everybody safe and be smart about it. Job number two, design the system that works to support that safety protocol. And then three, do the best that we can do with the tools that we have and have a good attitude, while we're trying to navigate through this, because as crazy as it is out there, we're still dealing with food and beer, and you can still enjoy food and beer, and hopefully we can all still stay safe and healthy and nice at the same time.
Thank you for that. Now we're going to bring in another co-host. Nick is going to be out on paternity leave for this podcast. Congratulations to him, as he's about to have a son. Bringing in former host, he'll be guesting for a few weeks. We welcome back Matt Bush. How you doing?
Hey boys, how are we today? And
Good.
ladies.
What are you drinking over there, Matt?
So I've got a few things. I'm rocking the local. So I've got Jam X's Honey I Brewed the Figs. It's a 9.2% Harvest Saison. Super sweet. It's actually really good. I was just going to go in there to get one, and then I said, fuck it, I'm going to get a whole 8-pack. So I've got a bunch in the fridge. And then the doctor said I need to get some vitamin C in my life. So I'm rocking some Vizzy. But I'm also playing with the same old Lions. I don't know if you remember this episode from the Eastern Market Boys, when we were kind of giving them names before they opened up. But it finally came through.
All right. So, you got a question for Joe?
Yeah. So, one thing that was really big with breweries is you guys really attack your social media game to kind of get the word out. And I mean, you're known for your muscles, your mustache, as well as your beard. You did your little contest with Dane and I think Steven from Batch is on that. I think there was a follow-up to do a collab. So I wanted to see if there's any news about what might be happening between a couple of breweries, putting something together, and maybe a polar kind of competition to even the scales, maybe a dog sled through the streets of Detroit or TC or Bel Air. To kind of get you, back on your side of things.
Yeah, we that was a lot of fun. First off, and the folks, Dane and the folks over at Eastern Market are awesome. So we're looking forward to working with them. We decided to kind of talk about getting this collaboration in real motion in Q1 of 2021. Just because we were really unsure as to how things were going, to go. And then we wanted a lot of time to plan on how we wanted to roll out the collaboration, whether or not it's going to be distributed from both breweries, made at both breweries, whether we can even either be present at each other's breweries. So we have that kind of in the docket. As far as the sled dog races and some of these other things, I think those are some great ideas we should certainly take into consideration.
I'm an idea man. That's all I can do is think of
stuff. So send them our way. We would love to elevate the collaboration for sure.
Is there any thought on like a style, or I know that you guys are both really into like causes, like finding reasons to produce beer and philanthropies that it goes with it. Is there any kind of gears turning about what the beer might be, or beer before, or any of?
Yeah, so we've both been involved in the nonprofit organization Title Track and their DEI programming, bringing those in-house, bringing those into the craft beer community. And then using sales from this collaboration to help other people be able to have access to this kind of training and education. As far as the style goes, I think we threw out a little bit of some of our both breweries' well-known beers. So they have, maybe I shouldn't say it right now, I don't know, but Soft Parade's one of our widely known beers, and they've got some kind of hazy IPA with an elephant on it.
So are we talking like a Soft Parade, lactose, and New England IPA? Like a Soft Parade milkshake?
Yes.
Okay.
But that could change, or it could just be that.
Sorry if I spoiled the beans.
Hey, if you spoil the beans, we might just have to make a new batch.
Okay, don't threaten me with a good time.
Wendy, how's it going?
I am fantastic today.
I am glad you are here. What are you drinking over there?
I am drinking a Fruitasia. It's delicious. I love it when the fruits come through with IPAs and it doesn't take away from the hops. I'm sorry, I'm a little off today. It's been a little crazy. I actually had my first brush with COVID, and Graham and I had to go get tested today. So hopefully everything comes out fine, but for the next 3 days, we're stuck with just the two of us here.
Can you taste anything?
I can.
Are you feeling
I have
hot?
no symptoms.
Okay.
Today, the first symptom that I've had is sinuses, and that just happened about 20 minutes ago, which is normal for me this time of year. So, but so my question is, I've read quite a few articles about changes that you guys have made to your facilities, to the production, to the tap room, and I think it's amazing that you guys are able to go through that this year and still plan on continuing that in 2021. My question, though, is what are you most excited about in those changes?
Oh, man. It's been hard to be excited this year because we've just been navigating crazy. But I think a lot of, the stuff that we look forward to for sure are, the new beer releases, like what we can do for next year, 2021. I think we've already announced Q1. We have, our Bel Air pub is, of course, the anchor to, our business and where we've started. But the lion's share of a lot of our, all of our production comes out of Elk Rapids. And so we've turned our little, I would say like our little rickety beer garden into a brick and mortar. So when restrictions come off, we're really excited to open up an indoor year-round facility in Elk Rapids adjacent to the production facility as well. We've got a lot of new construction projects on deck, which seems like that's always the case every year, but some improvements for the pub and some improvements for the production facility. And then, of course, just we're excited to get through this like crazy tunnel of COVID cussing stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, just keeping on with these projects, making the beers that we want to make, improving our facilities, keeping our staff healthy, riding this crazy wave, and then getting on the other side of it so we can just slam the pedal down even further.
Awesome.
And last but not least, Robert, how are you? What are you drinking over there?
Doing all right. Right now, I am drinking because I was not able to escape the house from the kids and pick up some shorts myself. I am having a Gravity Flux, the bourbon barrel aged imperial stout with coffee from Ellison right now, and I'm almost done with that. So we'll be moving on to brandy barrel aged Marzen from Griffin Claw afterwards.
Well, I'm sure I'm going to drink that whole 6-pack of the Bel Air Brown, so I'll drink all the shorts for you guys, but I'll let you go on.
All right. So obviously, like most of us, we have been at home dealing with this pandemic. And as we were kind of chatting a little earlier before we started, that you were talking about virtual schooling. And I saw that you have been doing a little bit of homeschooling with your kids. I was kind of curious, when your kids get older, do you have any plans on teaching them the ways of the brew when they get older? And well, actually, we'll just start with that.
Do I plan on teaching them the ways of the brew? I certainly hope so. You know, I named the brewery Shorts because I hoped that would be a family Michigan company legacy. But I also, you know, don't want to pressure my kids to do anything that they don't want to do. But I'm, you know, before they go off to school or college or whatever, I anticipate that they'll certainly be working in the brewery. Both of my sons, who are 9 and 10 at the moment, are very industrious, and very bright, and they love a lot of things about the natural world and beyond. And you know, if there's stuff within this organization that is interesting to them that they want to continue to pursue, of course we'll support that. And if they've got interests outside of the brewery, of course we're going to support that too. Of course, my personal hope is that we can work together in this field, but there's just so much unknown. And you know, obviously they've grown in you know, through the brewery. They've been to all of our parties. When Leah and I would both work, they would come to work with us when necessary. So they're very familiar with it. And whether it's the hospitality side or the production side or the science side or the marketing side or the construction side, I really feel like there's a lot of fields that they could you know, participate in. You know, whether it's architecture or art, somehow all these industries could directly help our organization. So right now, we're going to teach them how to make mashed potatoes after this. So they're excited to just help anyway.
Right. So I think what I was pretty much seeing and reading is that obviously with them being in the facility, that they're getting into and seeing the world of craft beer a little bit earlier than you started. So I guess kind of take us back to that age when you first got into craft beer and started thinking, you know, making home brews and making this a business was going to be your future.
Yeah. So, you know, I was in my late teens when I discovered craft beer, and being a do-it-yourselfer and a problem solver, I set out to figure out how to make my own beer in lieu of trying to find somebody to buy it for me. And through that process of self-education, you know, I had this laser focus to figure out like how I was going to make beer that I could actually drink. And it was just truly fascinating to me. And I knew that whatever I had decided to do as my career in life, that it needed to be something I enjoyed. And I really enjoyed, you know, figuring it out, solving those puzzles. And I love the concept of like the infinite opportunity to create flavor profiles of many different you know, spectrums. You know, whether it's spice or robust or light or hearty. You know, just the infinite world of flavor creation, much like a chef, I'm sure, is challenged with what they can do with flavor profiling and different ingredients. It was truly fascinating for me. I love the industrial side of it. I love you know, how the mechanics of beer works, and the process of you know, production, and the whole thing from start to finish. Now it's just truly fascinating. I mean, everything from management to the government side, to the philanthropic side, to the you know, the beer design side, to the food. You know, how everything, every single part of what we do affects the experiences that we create. It's just been truly fascinating for me. And as a person with ADHD, it's the perfect job because I can pretty much drop one thing and move on to another, just like that.
Nice. Ken, I think you wanted to jump in here.
Yeah, so we do a lot of digging deep, and you are definitely, for the lack of better words, all over the internet for interviews and discussions. I think a lot of people like to chat with you because I think you were so young within the industry with such large aspirations. Now, 9 years ago, you mentioned that you had 30 people staffed at that time. Where are you at now, and what are the hardships of the business part of things away from the brewing?
Yeah, so we average about 150. It oscillates 150 and 180-ish people, depending on seasonality. And the hardest part about that is that you don't have the more intimate connection with each and every single team member. So the culture component can be a little difficult, but um, you know, we've done really well with the teams we built. So we built teams, and the teams build teams, and the teams build teams, and it's really about like how we connect the teams together. And a couple of times a year, of course, when we can all get together, we do team celebrations, and we get activities around where everybody can be engaged and meet people from other departments and other areas of the company that they don't know very well or they haven't met before. And that's always a really exciting time. But maintaining the human aspect, throughout the entire organization is probably one of the biggest challenges as you grow.
Growing, you during that same interview, you mentioned the power of smallness was the philosophy of
Yes.
shorts. How do you see that philosophy today?
Uh, Very much still the same. I mean, comparatively, we're still a pretty small operation. Big from where we've started, but we operate in a very small community, and I still feel like we have a very tight knit staff, community within our company, and we really focus on things that matter to us. Whether it's the products that we want to make or the organizations that we want to support. These are still things that I feel collectively we all agree on.
All right, I wanted to cut in with that, but I'm going to pass it back
Keeping it
to Rob
small
over
but
here.
having a big impact. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. No, you got to unmute yourself, Rob. Welcome to 2020.
2020. There it goes. All right. So stepping away from beer for a moment, obviously, as a lot of us have seen that there are a couple other brands that you guys are running, not only with Shorts Brewing, but also the Starcut Ciders and Superfluid Supply Company. And I saw a couple weeks ago, well, less than 2 weeks ago, that Superfluid released Campaign, which is a canned wine. I've only seen it at one local brewery in my area, which you actually already mentioned, but being Eastern Market Brewing, that they've had one. So clearly it's not unheard of, but it still feels like it's something that is somewhat of a fresh and new idea in seeing a canned wine. So I guess, can you talk to us about Campaign and where you want that line of beverages to go?
Yeah, so like you said, we've been having a lot of fun. Of course, that's the whole point of what we do, being an innovative beverage maker. And Superfluid has become this nice sidecar for all of our extracurricular activities. And Campaign is actually a project that we've been working on for a long time. And and don't quote me on this because I'm not sure if it's entirely accurate, so you have to fact check me with Scott Newman-Dale. But when we trademark the whole idea of Campaign, turns out that it was a winery that also wanted to have that same trademark. So that basically caused us to get into conversation together and eventually become partners in this whole project. Last year, we did our first batch of wine in house because we have winemakers license, And so we created our own version of campaign, and it was just a straight up silver 16-ounce can, but the label was a brown paper bag that you put the can in, and it had like the stamp on it of like like a one guy with a mullet or two guys with a mullet, and it just said fancy on the bottom. And then, of course, in the background, we're working on this legal relationship with this winemaker in California, who's had a similar idea. And so eventually we created a joint venture. And so what they did was they created this wine, using their resources, their grapes, their processes, and they actually trucked it all the way to Michigan and brought it to our facility. We plugged it into our tanks, carbonated it and packaged it and released it just not more than a couple of weeks ago, and it's been received very well. We've had a lot of positive feedback from professional wine sommeliers and other notable wine experts. So that's been exciting, and we look forward to continuing that relationship and seeing where that brand goes, among other projects that we've been working on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I saw that there was going to be a white wine version that will be coming as well. But I'm going to hand it over to Matt, because I believe Matt has a question here.
Well,
I also just
campaign
want to
kind of
say
sounds
too.
like.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. You're the guest.
It was serendipitous that this came out right as the 2020 elections were like under hellfire. So it was just kind of a fun thing. We're like, hey, by the way, check out our campaign.
Nice.
Campaign sounds like canned champagne. So, I think you have something going there. But I know the world's kind of upside down. You talked about one of the reasons, but I mean, this has been topsy-turvy for about a year now. Is there anything that you've kind of implemented or learned since everything has gone into effect that you kind of look back and say, why weren't we doing this before? Or this makes so much sense to just naturally convert to that next step, be it, I don't know, sanitation, sneeze guards, or any of the hurdles and obstacles that you guys have been asked to do as a bar, a restaurant, a service organization, anything. Is there something that like you think you might have learned through this process?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, I mean, we learn and grow every day. Again, I'm going to have to just give more and more kudos to the team, because as this started happening, like we started preparing internally right from the get-go. My partner and co-conspirator Scott Newman Bale has a very good pulse on how stuff like this works. That's why he's called the magician. And then we also have a great team we're very nimble, and we're very quick to be ahead of the curve as much as possible. So what we've learned, or what we've always learned, is that change is the only thing that stays the same, and that's what we always try to keep in mind when we do need to pivot or modify an operation. And it's literally hourly that our organization does this, but we do meet regularly. And I can't say that there's any one thing that stands out, other than the fact that we're learning that the team is the most important. And if that's any sort of, I guess, idea or model on how any successful challenge is navigated, that we all need to be together as a team. And it couldn't be more apparent now.
Awesome. All right.
I did have a question I wanted to ask, because you were kind of mentioning about where we are right now, where we're going to be. Each year during your anniversary, you give a state of the brewery address. You talk to everyone. It's a huge event up there. We're about halfway. It's about a half-year anniversary. What is it you could say to help people get to the next anniversary party? Like, what would you want to tell your staff, your guests, your fans, people who drink, 3 Bel Air Browns out of a boot? What could you tell them that, something positive to get out of this?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that's working against us is the division that we're seeing in the country right now, which is really concerning. So I will say that the sum is, what is it? The whole is greater than the sum of all of its parts, right? So if there's a way that we can all figure out how to get along and be kind and be safe, that is like truly the simplest formula I can think of. Because if we follow the protocols, if we realize what science is, the purpose, we're on a beer call right now, right? Science makes beer, so it's undeniable, right? Let's follow the science. Let's look to effective leadership to guide us. Let's remain civil. Think of ways that we can be together, be safe, be proactive problem solvers. What do they say when you're growing up? Are you part of the problem or are you a part of the solution? Let's figure out ways we can be part of the solution so we can get back to anniversary party.
All right, throwing it over to Wendy.
So when I picked up my Fruitasia to drink tonight, I noticed next to it was the Pure Michigan Autumn Ale, or the Autumn IPA. And so I just wanted to ask about that a little bit because I think that's pretty cool. And I'm kicking myself now for not picking that up too. But I just kind of wanted to know how that came about.
Yeah, so we've been working with the Pure Michigan folks, and I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, but we decided to be like, hey, let's celebrate the bounty of like what Michigan does in a beer, because that's what we do. There's people in Michigan that grow hops. There's people in Michigan that make barley. There's people in Michigan that are cultivating yeast. Let's bring all these great Michigan things together and celebrate this thing about Michigan. Because obviously we're a Michigan brewery. We love the state, and we love making beer. And beer's always brought people together. So why not bring the ingredients and all the people involved in those ingredients together to make one awesome project or product? There you go. And it turned out really good. This is a great way for us to celebrate, who we are and what we do, and it's also very tasty.
So I just want to throw out there that sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just want to throw out there that if any of my friends are in the area and want to drop that off, I would be interested.
Matt, I know you had another question you wanted to follow up with.
Yeah, is there anywhere you want? I guess. So in the last couple of years, we've seen Griffin Club build a second location. Founders has come over to from Grand Rapids, and now they have a Detroit location. I know that you guys are crushing it up in Bel Air. Do you guys have any thoughts of maybe having a Shorts Detroit, like a Shorts local treehouse or something like that, where it's just kind of a Shorts tap house here amongst, like, I don't want to call it civilization, but like the mass public?
Man, that's always been a tricky one for us. So first off, we never say never. That's a new rule. But we've, legally, we've got one license that we could use for another spot in Michigan. We haven't really been excited about the thought of anything in Southern Michigan, mostly from managerial aspect and maintaining kind of the charm of what we do here in Northern Michigan. But we've also learned that we've got to prepare to be flexible and innovative at the same time. But nothing serious at all as far as setting up shop in Southern Michigan goes now. Wait, what? Sorry, what I will say though.
There's a caveat. There's a caveat.
What I will say though is that one of the reasons why we don't feel the need to do that is because we have such great retail partners, and setting up shop down there, or anywhere else really, would, I don't know, kind of take the lackluster out of the people who are like, hey, we got shorts. And that's kind of nice. And we really admire and honor that.
Now,
You don't think that like having some of those, I guess from a business standpoint, we kind of talked, I'm sorry, Ken kind of talked about how you figure out what goes from pub only to can. You don't think that maybe having a larger population to be that test market might lead to a greater success? I mean, you guys already have like half a door in every high-end party store to begin with, as Ken mentioned, your 80 million brands. Do you think that might help you target a little bit better and execute, and maybe introduce you, or just kind of keep you more topical a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a multi-pronged fork. I mean, it would certainly expedite a certain level of data that we could acquire, but in the same token, like, we're developing things like a beer delivery program where you can sign up, and we'll do like monthly deliveries downstate right now. We have that program established. I just lost my thought.
You want to give that a shout out, like a name? Does it have a name or a website where people can do that?
Yeah, you just you hop on the web store, ShortSmart, and you can sign up. So when we do bomber releases, we do trickle some down to very specific locales. This is just to test this model out. But what I was going to say though is that the whole concept of the power of the smallness is like being small and involved in this charming little community of Antrim County. Drives traffic up to where we're at, which also helps stimulate our economy, helps other Michiganders and people who are visiting Michigan experience the things that we hold so near and dear, and also maybe potentially for granted, like the sparse ruralness and all the other things that what we do, where we do it, makes us just that much more special. So if folks want to come, when we set up shop in Bel Air, you could shoot a cannon down the street and nobody would know. But because we developed a product and an experience that became a destination movement, we had brought stimulus to our region, which was something that was very important to me when we first got this off the ground, is to bring the value and economic stimulus to the working people of our area, to help spread the wealth and the experience to some degree. So I really I honor that a lot, and I feel like it would be very difficult ethically for us to think about something different.
Now you had mentioned doing deliveries, getting down to the the southern part of Michigan itself. We do have a suggestion from the chat room.
Bring it.
Jonathan Cole says, "What about delivering via bungee jumping off the Mighty Mac onto a ferry? Would you be up for bungee jumping?"
Yes, I would, because I'm needing new stunts. Is this John Cole from the Melting Pot from back in the day?
I don't know if Wendy's saying yes. We know him through Witch's Hat. So that's where we know him, is through Witch's Hat. He is one of the salespeople. So yes.
So another great supporter who have helped us, be and remain a Michigan brewery that still makes and sells beer. So that's great. Thank you, Jonathan, for all your support over the years.
And of course, this idea that he's calling himself the Fondue King. This idea, guys, you can actually chat with all of our guests live, 7 p.m. Eastern, Friday nights. BetterOnDraft.tv, Facebook.com/BetterOnDraft, YouTube.com/BetterOnDraft, Twitch.tv/BODPODCAST. That's BOD Podcast. We are live on all those places for you to come chat, just like Jonathan Danger Cole, and somebody who wants to give a thank you real quick, and that is going to be Ryan Balicki. If you do not recognize the name, that is okay. He actually met you in January 2018 at the MI Brewer Convention out in Kalamazoo, and you had a presentation over there, a marketing presentation that he loved, and it was his favorite during that convention. He now runs and owns Copper Hop over in St. Clair Shores. So he wants to give a big thank you.
Congrats.
All right, your boy, hey, Ryan.
He wants to give a big thank you for that presentation. I'm sure it meant a lot to him. I know Dan has a question he wants to ask you.
I do, and it comes. You mentioned having the distributors or the ability to sell downstate without having to have a presence there. Have you thought, or is the ability even there to use your partnership with Lagunitas to distribute more widely? The reason I ask is you see New Holland's had wild success with their partnership to get things like Dragon's Milk across the country. I mean, is that in the cards anywhere in the future where you could use that to get your beer more across to wider audiences?
Yeah, so these partnerships do bring different, I guess, opportunities. One of them is access to market. However, we've got a great partner in Imperial Beverage, so that is our only distributor in the state of Michigan. Our relationship with Lagunitas and their distribution network outside of Michigan is where that brings a little more value to us. What our partnership with Lagunitas and Imperial does is basically help take some of that national chain, that national distribution model into the tools and the do's and don'ts of those into the house that we have built here in Michigan with Imperial Beverage. And distribution is always tricky because our model is tricky because we're a one-stop shop in Michigan, which is great in many regards and has its I guess drawbacks and others, but things that we work on. And if there's spots in Michigan that you're not seeing our product, then by all means, I call to action to all of our friends and fans and supporters in Michigan to let us know, because those are the things that we work on with distribution. And distribution is always, regardless of whatever model you have, going to be a work in progress. It's relationships, it's partnerships, it's two entities working together to deliver experience to the consumer. At the end of the day, that's what we're working towards. So I guess the short answer is that it gives us something to learn from and how to apply what we can do here.
Awesome. Now switch it up a little bit here for you. I want to switch over to real ale real quick. I know you guys have been doing that for a few years. Are you still doing that there right now?
Not so much because of the limited capacity in the pub. I've been a real stickler on how we do real ale at the pub because it's such a special way to have beer and to experience beer. And so we designed a system very specific for real ale. And with limited capacity in-house, it's really kind of brought that production down. And the last thing you want to do is give somebody a bad real ale experience. And for those of folks who may not know what real ale is, it's basically a different size shaped keg that you put not quite finished fermenting beer in. The beer finishes fermenting in that keg, naturally carbonates it, and then instead of being dispensed with pressure from CO2, it is pulled or just flowed with gravity into the vessel. So it's a very natural state for the beer, and for me, it's always been very special. I love it, and I love when you can have like that. Normally, when other places have it, if I see somebody order it, then I'll order one right next to them because it means that they've cleared the line for me. I've got all the fresh beer straight from the cask.
Yeah, it's hands down one of my favorite styles of beer. I fell in love with it about 5 years ago when I went to England. What's your favorite beer you've done as far as real ale goes?
I love more of a traditional style out of real ale, although our pub brewers do use the real ale as a platform for innovation. So they might spike it with a spice or some vanilla or some fruit. I'm pale ale. Just give me a 5% pale ale on the cask. That's my jam.
Awesome. And then Wendy, you have the next question.
Yeah, so it's funny that he asked about the real ale because I was wondering, you guys are kind of known for your innovative flavors and ideas when it comes to beer. Is there a project that you guys have done that um, you were really excited about, or that you wish hadn't gone the way it did?
Um, was it Mr. Fusion? That's the one I was thinking of. So Mr. Fusion was like Michigan IPA. That was the one that was hot for a minute, but didn't sell well in the market. No, but typically, again, the pub is a platform for that. So if it doesn't go well, then we don't really have that much extra to figure out what we have to do with it. I can't say as of late we have anything. I mean, we've been, so we're rolling up at 17 years, and we've been fairly calculated for a good part of, the whole almost 17 years. So we have a good idea of like what we can expect from certain experiments. And if it's too weird, then we will grow batch. But I can't say that there's anything that we've been just like, kind of suck.
Matt?
Yeah, so we've got an awesome partner, Zatuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, just south of 59 on Rochester Road. They always carry all the brand new, the exclusives. So do you have any, end of the year things coming out or Q1 2021 that we can kind of trailer for them about things that are still going to roll out by the end of the year or maybe into the first quarter that you want to talk about or announce?
2021. Well, we've got Good Humans coming out, which is our double brown ale. And that was something that we decided to try that season again, to just try to spread the love, keep people being kind and respectful for one another. To be honest, I haven't memorized the list yet, but we do have the rest of 2021 to figure out. And there's a couple ideas in there that I want to lob at the team. We're excited totally forgot about this. So Little Huma.
There we go.
Which is our session IPA that was obviously born from Huma Lupulicious, which is the beer that built Shorts Brewing Company. That is going to be released Q1. So we're super excited about that. We debuted it in the variety pack, the Fresh and Session variety pack that came out last summer, which was an amazing hit. Also in that pack, reminding me again, Furry Buddy, which is a light session stout. We're gonna nitrogenate it now, and I don't know if it's just the dad in me that's starting to like these school night beers a lot better, but the 4.5% nitro stout, I just love it. And what's even more exciting about that is that you can float it on Space Rock. So any of those of you clamor for that good old fashioned black and tan, just love it.
Well, I think Rob's got the next one, so go ahead and finish him off, Rob there.
All right. Yes, I would definitely say for phrasing 1, 2, definitely for having 4 teenagers, those school night beers, yeah, they definitely help. But I guess kind of going back to your days as being a home brewer, and it's something that I've been trying to figure out myself, is that when I have brewed, and I've brewed, I haven't brewed a whole lot, but when I have brewed, I feel like the great reward for the process, when I look at it, it's great and all, but it always feels like for me that it's maybe 40% fun and it's 60% stress because I'm worried about how this product is going to come out and the waiting and the hoping that the fermentation goes through and the flavors come through. But you've said that you find peace in brewing. So I guess I'm trying to figure out what am I doing wrong? Where can I find the peace?
Oh man, that's so philosophical. um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, just like exercise or cooking or something like that. I guess not something that I worry too much. If you follow the basic fundamentals, that you should eliminate the stress, right? And for me, I'm more excited about like what can come of this project, right? And I've certainly been disappointed, but at the end of the day, it's beer, so you can do it again. It's not like it's a once in a lifetime thing that you got to get right. So maybe that's the difference for me, is where I'm just like, well, it doesn't work right. I'm just going to take some notes and figure it out and make it the next time. So either way, for me, like I'm excited to see like what is it going to be? Is it going to be a boy? Is it going to be a girl? Is it going to be a monster? If it's a monster, let's try to figure out not how to have one of those anymore.
Or just throw some extra hops in it.
Yeah, and you know what? Hops have saved beers like that. We did. That's how Good Humans was born. We were pilot testing the Cara Brown malt that Brees came out with, and we made this double brown ale, but we didn't get the color right. Dumping a bunch of chocolate malt in the mash tun after the fact, and then we let it ferment out, and I was like, it's all right. It's just kind of missing something. We're like, well, let's just dump a box of Simcoe hops in there and see what happens. Voila. So there are those post fermentation tweaks too, and I can remember when we did Joy Almondo in the pub, which is the coconut, chocolate, and almond. I had it like, you know how sometimes you can taste a beer through mid fermentation, like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good one. I did have one of those moments, just so you know, but I was like not stoked. And I pulled some of the fermenting beer out of the fermenter. I'm like, oh God, this is awful. This is awful. And then let the beer finish, which is the great thing about beer and fermentation, is sometimes it just surprises you, right? So the beer finishes, and then it goes on tap, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to try it. I just wasn't excited about it in the fermenter. And it literally blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, this is better than I could have even imagined it would be. So sometimes you just have to be patient. And then maybe just hope for the best, like, that there's that thought or that theory that you can will things to happen. I think maybe that's been my whole case with beers. Like,
can I ask,
be good.
Can I ask for a quick favor?
Sure.
So the last time, you don't remember this, the last time you and I spoke was at your 40th birthday party at Detroit Shipping Company, and I asked you to make a ginger lime beer. And I don't think that you made mule beer for me, but it's been a very successful beer for you. I was hoping, I'm a huge fan of Australian and New Zealand hops, that Southern Hemisphere hop.
Yeah.
Can you maybe do something bubblegummy and, that with one of those hops, those Kiwi hops that are kind of new to everybody, but they're not new to the craft beer nerd, and maybe just like surprise people with what a Southern Hemisphere hop can do?
Sure. Yeah, if we can find them, absolutely. Send me your favorites.
I'll make some phone calls. I'll get them on a boat.
There you go.
Yeah, let me know what varieties you're thinking, and we'll create something magical.
Well, Matt brought up all the Kiwi hops. I kind of wanted to tie in before we let you go on the you mentioned Simcoe hops during your Good Humans, and one of my favorite beers from you guys is Controversial. And I have two questions before we let you go. First is, it used to be called Hangin' Frank. Why was it changed?
Well, there's a whole song about that beer that came out. It's made by a great band called Braxton Hicks and the Contractions. And they actually have several songs about Shorts beers. So how that got started was when we first got our brewery going, we partnered with a couple local places in the region, and City Park Grill in Petoskey was one of them. And they wanted us to make their own exclusive beer. And so I was really into exploring with single hop varieties. And so I chose Simcoe for that one. And the beer turned out great. And everybody loved it. So City Park Grill named this beer. I will say that again. City Park Grill named the beer Hangin' Frank. And the story goes is that City Park Grill, known for being a water hole for places for people like Hemingway, Frank was an old bartender there. It's been a bar for like 100 years. The story goes is that Frank committed suicide and that his ghost haunts the establishment. So the beer became very popular, and then we decided to bottle it. So we just took the art from the label that was just for the tap handle, which basically gave you the impression that there was this guy hanging in the back doorway of this restaurant that he committed suicide. Once that label hit the market, all hell broke loose on the customer service emails and phone calls. So we changed the name to Controversial because it was quite controversial.
You should have just called it a penis joke. You would have been fine.
But anyway, we do have some cans left, and we were like, hey, man, we should just fire up a batch and sell some Controversial because lots of people love it. Me being one of them. So yeah, I'm a fan, and it's definitely one of the Joe Short OG beers. So
now this is definitely a little more personal because for me, I detest IPAs. I can name more IPAs that I hate than I like because I can only name maybe 4 or 5 that I like. So Controversial is on that list. Centennial from Founders is on that list. As a person who does not like IPAs, what in your professional brewing opinion makes you think that I like your Controversial? Like, why do I like it?
Oh, you mean so you don't like IPAs, but you like Controversial?
Correct.
Okay.
It's actually one of my top rated
that's a
beers
good
on
question.
Untapped when I was rating Untapped. I have spent many of beer festivals, many of flights, many times trying IPAs, trying it with a fresh palate, trying it different. Like my palate is not growing with IPAs. So why do you think, as someone who doesn't like IPAs, now mind you, your barometer is I like Centennial and that's pretty much it. Um, why do
Well,
you think I like Controversial?
well, you're drinking brown, which tells me that you like the maltier side of things.
Yes.
And so with Controversial, I think we really did find a nice balance where there's not so much of that like aggressive bitterness up front, but we really put the focus of the hop on the flavor and the aroma. And then the base of the beer has a lot of these similar type malts that you find in Bel Air Brown, but without the roast and the chocolate. So you're getting like Munich and Carapils and a lot of these caramely, sweeter type malts. And then, maybe you just like this particular icing on this cake base. Your cake base is malt. The cake base for Controversial is very much malt, but the icing is maybe something that just happens to work for you. The icing being the Simcoe hop, so it's got that particular flavor and aroma that doesn't turn you away, but you're not opposed to.
it's just crazy because
just throwing a dart at the wall there.
Well, I didn't expect necessarily an answer, but as someone who, I always reference myself as like a palate of a 6-year-old. I love my multi beers, so everybody in the chat, everyone who listens knows I love my ambers, my browns, my alts. But I know we've kept you longer than we said. I want to ask one final question, a question from the chat, so I hope you don't mind. And then we will let you go. The last question is from Tito Huffman again. betterondraft.tv. You can follow us Fridays at 7 p.m. and listen to us live and talk to our guests, as Tito Huffman did. He asks, can you talk about your partnership with Skymint on marijuana-infused beverages, and if this is something that is moving forward?
All right, so our partnership with Skymint is basically a licensing agreement. So right now, we're collaborating on edibles through the Jolly Edible line. And we have been working on trying to innovate with beverages. The legality of the beverage side is a little complicated, so it might be a while before we can marry beer or just products made in a brewery with cannabis or THC in them. So to answer your question, yeah, we're working on it, but the future is unknown at this point.
All right, Joe Short's Brewing Zone, I should say. You guys can find them at Shorts Brewing on Instagram. They are up in Bel Air, Michigan. I believe the Elk Rapids production facility has a tap room too.
Yes, but not open yet. Of course, doesn't matter right now.
Not open yet. Thank you so much, everyone in the chat joining. That's going to do it for Better on Draft 246. Stay tuned. In a couple days, we will be launching the news segment that is recorded right after. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Better on Draft.
Cheers.